The Spanish Announce Table.
Episode 302 of the Spanish Announce Table. I don't know if I'm anywhere yet. Peeking behind the curtain, I have a green screen here, and I may or may not be somewhere on location. So I don't know if you're watching the YouTube show. Podcast
right, but you know where you are, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
You're in our hearts.
I am in your hearts at all times. If you've accepted me into your hearts,
yes.
You accepted Tim into your heart.
Yes.
But again, if you're a podcast listener, as we have done this podcast for 302 episodes now, starting now, you're awesome and you're great. And you've seen us do YouTube a couple times, and we're trying it out again, and we're getting better at it each time. And
look at the lighting. Look at my lighting. You can see my face now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can see his Kansas City Chiefs hat, and Kansas City Chiefs won a football game, which, we're not supposed to talk about. So
12 in a row. 12 in a row dating back to last year. Longest in franchise history. Come on. How about them Ravens, huh? That was a good dinner. That was a good dinner, carving up some Raven on Monday night.
Everybody said that was going to be the best football game of the season.
Oh, yeah. It was for us. It was for us.
Oh, yeah, the Chiefs' best game. People are saying that might have been Mahomes' best performance ever. And if it's not, it's one you would compare to find out.
It was good. It was good. Hey, but let's talk about pro wrestling, because we've gotten some feedback. Sometimes the Chiefs talk doesn't hit well with everyone, but guess what? It's our podcast.
K-State won a football game too. Beat the number 3 Oklahoma Sooners 2 years in a row when they were a top 5 team. Anyway.
There you go. Anyway. College football talk too.
Anyway, yeah, the National COVID Athletic Association.
Yeah, that's what it stands for, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I thought it stood for. Yeah, National COVID Athletic Association. Hey, this weekend was also Clash of Champions. And if you go to our YouTube page, you can catch my instant reaction to Clash of Champions. And then you can also catch Tim's not so instant reactions to Clash of Champions. Again, both of those are on our YouTube page. Just search Spanish Announce Table on your filters, select channel. You'll see it right there at the top.
Or if you want to go directly, youtube.com/Spanish Announce Tube.
There you go. So, it was this past weekend. A lot of fun stuff. Again, if you watched both of our videos, you kind of know where we stand, but we also wanted to give a full breakdown of Clash of Champions. And Tim, I think we both agreed the best match of the night, as far as just showing this to a casual viewer or also just pure entertainment. Maybe we're going to go back in the future, we're going to go back and watch this match again, was the opening match, the triple threat between AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn. Obviously from your video, you enjoyed it. So did I. But what was your favorite part from the whole just opening stanza of Clash of Champions?
When the handcuffs were great, right? So Sami Zayn's got the handcuffs. He's doing all that. He's trying to hook everybody up. My favorite part was when I noticed before the announcers led on, right? AJ Styles goes to put him in his whatever suplex hold. I saw Sami Zayn reach up and hook himself into the handcuffs, and I was like, oh, this is about to get really damn good. My son was watching with me, little swim trunk, and I was like, check this out. He just handcuffed himself to AJ Styles, and I was like, this is going to be amazing. And sure enough, when he looks up, he's like, you're not going anywhere, buddy. And I was like, yes, Sami Zayn is the best. And I know Sami Zayn came up with this. If you've heard any podcast interviews of guys like Cesaro or people who work a lot with Sami Zayn, they say this guy is nuts. He's full of ideas. He won't shut up. The character you see on screen is very much the character that he really is, that like he's just going 100 miles an hour. This could only come, AJ Styles did not come up with this. I mean, if I'm guessing, I could be wrong, and we don't fact check, but this feels like it had Sami Zayn written all over it. This was to get him over. I loved it.
Yeah, I did too. My favorite just pure moment, though, from the entire match was actually Jeff Hardy, after he was handcuffed via the ear to a ladder, getting up and still trying to make his way into the ring. I just love the perseverance that he showed to be like, you know what? No, I'm not letting this stop me. As one famous wrestler used to say, never give up, and he never gave up. And he would just take this little ladder, which was very opportunistic on his end, right? Like that's very key.
Right.
Yeah, it was a little baby ladder, but he would, he was,
from the
walking it up
WLC
there.
match.
Exactly. Yeah. Hornswoggle gave that to Sami Zayn. But the creativity from this, from the finish was what's the most memorable part. But besides that, even before we got to the finish, I thought this was a really physical match, which it seems as almost, I almost feel like I'm taking it for granted because they're always so physical and innovative. And, Jeff Hardy, which I think may get forgotten about with this match because of how creative the finish was, did his damn spot where he got on top of a ladder and did a swanton through, I think, Sami Zayn that was laying on a ladder. Like that was a WrestleMania spot. And now this is a Clash of Champions spot. And so it was just really, really good.
The whole storytelling of the whole match was good, which I did say on our videos on the YouTube. And by the way, go watch them. We're heading back and forth, and every time I check, I may be up by one watch. You may be, like view as they call them. We're kind of neck and neck on our reactions on who's getting more views, So
hey,
that's a fun thing, right? That's a fun thing we can keep doing. So go check it out. What I talked about on there though was the storytelling of all of this, right? Sami Zayn kept missing the worst punishment. He kept, he sold that emotion of just the whole like, oh my God, I've got a chance here, right? Like, these two schmucks got laid out, right? Like it was repetitive. I don't know if he got to the announcers because they were playing along really well. The whole match was an instant classic. Might be up there for one of the best of the year for me.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a high bar, but this match definitely met that criteria. Very, very fun match. Kind of going through a little bit of a shot sheet here that has a recap of it. I'm not going to talk about the 24/7 championship. To me, that's just a mute point. There was nothing really noteworthy of that to me, unless was there anything that you saw there that you liked?
It never is. The only thing was I was like, hey, yeah, Tozawa, what happened to that guy? But then the next day he's there, and they just the whole thing is
it's just a filler. And hey, that's okay. So let's get into the next proper match, as some would call it. It was the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka defeating Zelina Vega. I thought this was actually pretty good. I know you kind of were a little bit down on it from your less than instant reaction, but I like this. I thought it, for Zelina Vega having 0 matches in WWE, it showed, hey, at least it's someone else who isn't out there with 2 left feet, and so that was promising. And then also. It also showed how shallow the division is, because they had to then go instantly right into, hey, thank you for the match. Nope, psych, I'm still a heel. Well, then I'm not finished with you. It's like, well, why? Because you just beat her. Why would you want to? I mean, I get why you want to hit her again because she hit you, post match. But there's no one else. There's no one else that's gonna like challenge Asuka for the championship. So it showed how shallow the division is, but I also thought Zelina Vega, given the spot, didn't do horrible.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, the match was not terrible. I didn't hate it. I just thought it's the same thing you said. This in no way did I think Zelina Vega has any kind of shot of getting this unless they were just trying to be like, you didn't expect that, did you?
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of was like, all right. And then I'm just measuring move by move, and it's wasn't anything to write home about. So again, I just thought, this is Zelina Vega getting in the ring, cool. She's gonna do better than whatever she was doing with the other guys over there. That was a waste of time. So why not?
Yeah, I think maybe it was because of how low my expectations were. I was just happy that Zelina Vega looked the part of a heel challenging for a championship. Maybe that's why I liked it a little bit more.
Like that, yeah.
All right, after that, we went into the United States Championship match, which feels like we've been doing this since WrestleMania. That's probably a lie, but again, we don't fact check. But it was Bobby Lashley defeating Apollo Crews. Whatever. I mean, not trying to be like, I know we've gotten criticism of the past of like, oh, you guys just hate WWE, why you watch it? Well, because some of the shit's really good, like the first match, but then some of the stuff like this is just, what are we doing? This is such a waste of time.
That should have been, I mean, I know it's United States Championship and it's Clash of Champions, so they had to do the things, but like the match that follows the storyline is Cedric Alexander versus Apollo Crews. It's not Apollo Crews another United States title. Like,
well, and why wasn't Ricochet in that spot to challenge Bobby Lashley? Why is Ricochet, who again in my eyes should be the 205 Live champion, and we should just build a whole division around him? But that's a side point. Why is he not getting opportunities? Why is he always just guy in his own t-shirt clapping outside, hoping for the best? Yeah. It just feels like that guy is so damn good. And if we're going to have someone lose, Apollo Crews has already done all of his flips. Let's see a different version of flips, for Christ's sake, and just get Ricochet in there. If you're still just going to have Bobby Lashley win with a full Nelson, let me see some different versions of a flip, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I'd rather watch Richard O'Shea than
I love Ricochet. Ricochet to me is, someone I can show my nieces and nephews and say, like, isn't this your superhero? And 9 times out of 10, they're all going to say, yep, because he's fucking cool. Right. Again, I don't need a promo from him. I don't need, he's the new age Rey Mysterio, right? Like, as far as that, he's a nice guy and he's going to do well. And then didn't you see that crazy move?
But I think he's going to be that. I think he's going to have that Rey Mysterio, like.
And that's okay.
Like,
look at Rey Mysterio right now.
Right? Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing better than what Rey Mysterio is doing now. Anyhow, it's just so Bobby Lashley. Yeah, Bobby Lashley won in a forgettable match. Another forgettable match was another forgettable tag team championship match between the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Garza. It did look like Angel Garza did get hurt shoot wise. So that may have some fallout, but Street Profits retained. I think you mentioned it in your video where they referenced that this match was happening again. So since even the announcers were like,
they specifically brought that up, and that's too long. But it's too much.
Right. Especially because it's not the New Day and the Usos going back and forth where it's these memorable cage matches or 2 out of 3 falls, things like that. But I guess here's the ugly truth about this matchup. Name another tag team that you're going to put in there with the Street Profits. There isn't one.
There isn't.
The only thing that I think you can do is if you want to expand the grip that the Hurt Business has on the Raw locker room is you then start putting Shelton Benjamin and MVP as a tag team and then have them go after the Street Profits and then do that. But then again, if we're kind of taking a step back and looking at all of the storylines,
that's tailor-made. They could say, hey, look, the Street Profits have been cutting into the Hurt Business's bottom line. You know what I mean? Like it's right in there. Like we're trying to get them profits. You know what I mean?
Well, and isn't part of the tagline for the Street Profits, the profits are up, and so Hurt Business, all that stuff, you could have it there. But what I was going to say is
JBL could moderate. All right.
Easy. Well, and that's where I was going to go into just for a little bit here is if you take a step back and look at this from a high level view, let's say that the Hurt Business goes after the tag team championships. Well, now we're just having a diverse locker room, but it's all black guys fighting black guys and white guys fighting white guys and Mexicans fighting Mexicans. And then we're getting into a little bit of, what are we doing
separate
here?
Separate but equal on Monday Night Raw.
Right, exactly. So it feels a little weird if we did that. But I still think that the Hurt Business maybe could be the next challengers for these titles, just for the simple fact that it would make sense. They want to establish more of their power. And Street Profits need a title challenger, so maybe there, but I don't know. After that forgettable matchup, we had Bayley issue an open challenge because Nikki Cross apparently is sick with something. We don't know.
Not medically cleared, Tom.
Oh, that's true. They didn't say sick.
They go to medical facilities. They're not medically cleared.
Stupid. It's a hospital. It's a hospital. No one calls it a medical facility except for wrestling fans.
There's got to be some kind of obscure, like, legal reason that he's been warned against, right? Like, there's got to be like a lawyer who's been like, don't say that. You're going to get into weird, don't.
I think the open rumor is that just Vince hates the word, like how he hates championship belt. He just hates the word hospital. What a fucking psychopath if that's the word, or if that's the.
Well, the guy hates sneezing.
Really? Well, no, he hates that if you sneeze, you can't stop it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what a psychopath. God. What an influence on my life. That's sad. Bailey issued an open challenge. It was met by Asuka, which actually I was a little surprised with. I liked it how Asuka came out and was like, bitch, I ain't done with you. I want 2 belts. And so I kind of like that. It did get the predictable non-finish because Bailey's not going to beat Asuka legit. So how does she get out of this? Disqualify herself. Fuck off, right? But that led into the continuation of Sasha Banks and Bailey because Sasha Banks comes out with a hurt neck. And then,
well, all this was Sasha. This might not have happened. This might have just been a Nikki Cross Bailey match as a quote unquote piss break spot. And then they went, oh crap! Now we got to fill time. And Sasha's there, and they're like, "Here, get the Bobby Heenan neck brace and go out there and
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing, even if Nikki Cross was available, was just to continue the Bailey Sasha feud,
You're probably right.
And that's fine. And that whatever, right? All the dorks who love these two have been clamoring for this since 2015. It was a fantastic match. Again, one of my top 10 favorite matches of all time. Bailey versus Sasha from NXT Takeover. This storyline, I hope, has a finale at Hell in the Cell. Rumor is it's going to close the show. Fucking cool. I don't care. Let's just get on with it.
Dude, this will have a finale the same way, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre has a finale, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, possibly. But I hope not. I hope it's oh my God, blah happens and that's it. And now we can go 2 separate ways. I feel like you're right, though. They're going to do, hey, guess what? We're going to do part 7.
It's going to be John Cena, Randy Orton.
Yeah. Which is fine, but it's just not with those two. I'm not against Becky and Charlotte could do that. I would be 1,000,000% okay if Becky and Charlotte, and they kind of have, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But if they went back to doing their kind of thing, that's way more entertaining than Peanut Butter Mouth, Sasha Banks, and Vicky Guerrero 2020 Bailey. Every time I see Bailey, she just looks like Vicky Guerrero more and more each and every day, and sounds like her. She's turning into Vicky Guerrero, right?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm just saying she's annoying. All right, now let's get into a WWE Championship match. Champion Drew McIntyre defeated Randy Orton in an ambulance match. This was a fun one. This is where the show picked back up. What did you like about this?
I liked the storytelling of it. I was not expecting the end to the Randy Orton. Well, what we thought was the end to the Randy Orton storyline. And we'll save some of that for Raw talk when we hit our highlights at the end, I guess. But that story, if it was the end of the Randy Orton story, was great. Every legend, it almost felt like that whole thing was designed to be a thing to get Drew McIntyre over, right? Like it just felt like, oh, this whole time, that's what this has been, like amazing. That would have been cool. But so all of that was great. At the end of that match, I was like, that was really good. It was a great way to rub that legend sauce onto Drew McIntyre, if you will, right? He's now buddies with these 4 legends, right? Legends, whatever we're going to call that nowadays. But I thought it was great. And, I normally hate the ambulance match because it's who can close the door first. But I thought this was all done really well.
Yeah, I liked it because it reminded me of a Jacob Marley, Ghosts of Christmas Past coming back to haunt Randy Orton. And every time he thought he had the advantage, that's then where Big Show or Christian, and then it was Shawn Michaels, and then Ric Flair all came out. My favorite part of this entire night, though, even more so than Jeff Hardy getting his ear handcuffed to a ladder, was that Big Show Big Show's dumbass walks out in a mask and then pulls it down to reveal it's him, as if we don't know who the fuck this guy is.
It was me, Austin.
Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah. You're the 7-foot, 400-pound asshole walking around backstage. We all know who this is.
Yeah.
Like to have a mask and be like, oh, you didn't know who it was? It was me, Orton.
It was me.
That's my favorite part of the whole night. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
God, that made me laugh so hard. I watched that back. I rewound that spot 3 times before the match was over just to keep laughing because of how stupid it was. But yeah, I thought the match itself was really good. Like I said, this is where the show picked back up. It was good to see Drew McIntyre get the win. He did kind of look a little, not as strong. I don't know, but I've never seen one of those established champions have to have 4 other people help him to win. You know what I'm saying? John Cena, I don't feel like ever had to have 4 legends help him win, or a Roman Reigns or a Stone Cold, or, you know, all this stuff. And for Drew McIntyre to have this championship for as long as he's had it, it's starting to feel like he may be going into that trajectory. But this performance, I don't think this match was more about Randy Orton than it was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
It could have been just anyone, I think, really in an ambulance match with Randy Orton. It was about the sins of Randy Orton's past catching up to him.
It was. So I think for what it seemed like a great merging of the two to kind of put a nice bow on both of them. Like, okay, we in the Randy Orton thing, and all these guys go like, okay, this was our guy.
Right.
And you know, it would have worked great. Looks like we're gonna keep going with it though, but more on that later, I guess.
It does look like we're going to keep going with it. All right, let's get to the main event. It was the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns defeats Jey Uso via Jimmy throwing in the towel and stopping the match. This was really good. This was methodical. This was uncomfortable at certain times. Roman Reigns, just with his scoff and just arrogance towards Jey Uso, not even mad at him. It was almost like a parent who says, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. Yeah. Every time Jey Uso had offense, Roman was like, are you serious?
Like, bro,
why?
Dude.
Why do we do this? Come on. Yeah. It wasn't as even though he was hurt. He was just looking at him like, okay, you're an asshole. Then towards the end, though, he did flip the switch, right? Where he's like, Paul Heyman was trying to, it felt like, almost cater to Roman Reigns' needs, calling him the tribal chief. And Roman's like, that's great. I don't want to hear it from you. I want to hear it from him. Then it got really uncomfortable. I thought this was great.
Yeah. Again, the storytelling for this Roman character was great, right? And this is a great way to murder somebody without them looking too bad in the end, because, you know, it's family. He was a bit overmatched to begin with.
Well, and then he didn't give up. Right. You know what I mean? He didn't tap out. Right. It was, he looks like the warrior that can persevere. It was his brother saving him. Maybe we get something out of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it a lot. I like this tribal chief thing. Just in the ego power trip of it all, right? Like, no, you say I'm the fucking man. Like, like we're not leaving until you say I'm the best.
Right. I like that a lot. The one thing though that made me shake my head a little bit, or, you know, scratch the top of my head, as some people may do, is there's a few different times where both Jey and then when Jimmy came out, I don't know if they were just bad actors or what, but it looked like they were visibly smiling. Like, I think they were trying to look like they were in distress, but like, I thought Jimmy was going to turn on Jey, because when he was cupping his head and he was looking back, it looked like he was legitimately smiling to Roman.
Do they all have their teeth redone now?
Yeah.
I think I've noticed with people when they get their teeth redone, and no disrespect to anybody who's had their teeth redone, but
I'm getting mine done.
I've noticed out of nature, I think, it's a self-conscious thing. And then you, as the person who got it done, spend so much time looking in the mirror at it, right? Look. And so it becomes like a habitual thing to just go to that mouth formation. You know what I mean? Like, because I noticed people who got their teeth done. The reason I noticed you got your teeth done is more because now you're flashing your teeth a whole shit ton more than you ever used to, right? It's not like I ever even noticed your teeth, but now you're standing here and you're like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, it's different. And I think that's where we get some of that. I kind of noticed that too. I was like, hey man, you guys look like you just so happy about this moment, right? You know what I mean? Like, you're
right. Yeah. And maybe it was that. Maybe it was like, man, do you believe that we're main eventing the three of us together?
We always dreamed about
pay-per-view
this,
storyline.
right?
Yeah, this is cool. But I really thought Jimmy, when he got into the ring and cupped his head and was looking back at him and said, "You're the tribal chief," I thought then it was going to be, and this guy sucks, and he was going to turn on his brother. Obviously he didn't, and that was the right move to do. But yeah, it was a little confusing, their acting skills towards the end of that match.
I still think the coolest way would be,
but again,
Jimmy does help him, and then they've got to convince Jay, or either vice versa, right? Like Jay now has Stockholm syndrome, because he got his ass beat so bad, and then he's like, "No, he's not so bad," and Jay's like, "What the?" Or vice versa, Jay, and then Jimmy's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Man, I don't help you. He's beating the shit out of you and was showing you no mercy."
Yeah, no.
And then we have no mercy
fine.
again. All right, never mind.
Oh man. So yeah, that was Clash of Champions 2020. Again, head over to our YouTube page. Check out my instant reaction that I recorded as soon as the pay-per-view ended, and then Tim gave you a less than instant reaction the next day. You can get more of our deeper thoughts there. We gave you the full breakdown tonight, but again, you can catch more of our thoughts on Clash of Champions on the YouTube channel. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of our show.
Before we jump off to that, let's go to the Twitter machine. Hashtag
right.
Tweet the Table. If you're on Twitter, at Table Show, he's at TMac_816. I'm at The Awesome Voice, as you well know. Twitter, if you use hashtag Tweet the Table, we're going to see it. We're going to read it. And we're going to read some of them. Possibly. If you're lucky, if you're cool, right here on the show. And we got a couple of these about Clash of Champions, because we usually do, right? This is when we get peak Tweet the Tables is special events, right? Let's hear him. The Iceman Forever. Long time no hear, right? The Iceman Forever says, in my opinion, I thought Clash of Champions was damn good. I give it a 9 out of 10. Hashtag Tweet the Table. And at Theo75 says, Jimmy versus Roman is pure brutality. This is hard to watch. Hashtag Tweet the Table. 9 out of 10. Iceman.
I would say a solid 7.
I was going to give it a 7. Yeah, 7 is good. Because, again, I think half the matches were kind of like, but the other half were really good, right? The first one.
Right.
And you could say the third match, like the final match, was not necessarily a great match as much as it was
it was good storytelling.
Right, it was a great storytelling moment for Roman Reigns. Yeah. So now let's get the meat and potatoes, like you're talking about. Fun stuff we've got this week.
Yeah, so it was AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night. A really fun show. I thoroughly enjoyed this. But let's get kind of a recap started with the first match of the night. It was a blood feud, as some call it, between Ricky Starks and Darby Allin. Darby Allin ends up picking up the victory. What do you think about this match? Had a month-long build to it, and then we got the kind of the tipping point here to kick off the show.
I like that he had a promo coming in with somebody else speaking for him too. Like he didn't even have to do his own talking, right? Like somebody else like, hey man, he's gonna kick your ass. So he didn't even. Right. I like this too, and you know what? It's kind of hit me more too, where they've talked about Darby Allin's been very clear that like he's not gonna do this forever, right? He's gonna do this a couple of years. So why not ride, Darby Allin and squeeze every drop you can out of whatever momentum he's got, which clearly, I mean, he's got a following, so yeah, I would plug and play him. If it's not somebody that like losing to Darby Allin would cripple their momentum, then why not have Darby Allin go over and sell some merch and love it?
Yeah, I like this match a lot. I wish it had it felt like a really, really good match between two guys trying to go up the pecking order for a championship title match more than two guys who hate each other. It was, like I said, it had good moves. It had good physicality. I wanted a little bit more of a ref has to pull them apart or give a 4 count. You could be disqualified. Just a little bit more. I hate this motherfucker. It was more so of a match of I'm really good. No, I'm really good. Well, let's figure out who's better. And that's really good. And AEW does that better than anyone right now. But for what they were doing the last month with a skateboard with thumbtacks through Ricky Stark's back, or all the shit that Darby Allin went through by Team Taz, it felt like this should have had one thing that maybe stood out. And like I said, really good match. I just wanted a little bit more of, wow, those guys really hated each other, instead of, man, they're just really good wrestlers. I mean, both are good, but for me, I want the hate, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching this because two guys hate each other.
Embrace the hate.
Of course, you always should embrace the hate when telling stories, because it makes it more interesting. Speaking of embracing the hate and making it more interesting, we had an interview segment with Cody, who addressed Mr. Brody Lee and the dog collar match. Typical, big time promo feel from Cody here, who did a little bit of bait and switch with the no, that means I'm never forgiven, and all that shit. Thought it was fun. He did have me for a second. I thought, well, like, where we're going to go from here. I thought maybe Arn Anderson was going to have to get it into his ear to like make him, find the fire again, something like that. But my favorite part was when he did come back and grab the microphone and give his passionate speech about why this blah blah blah. Like Brody Lee was like, "No, fuck this guy." Like the heel wasn't intimidated by it. He was like, "No, fuck you. Like I'm gonna kick your ass."
I did like that. I thought he was gonna go with it because he was like the executive of job I loved. So that part of me, says no. And then I thought it was gonna turn out to be like, but the fighter and the wrestler in me says, yes, fuck you, I'm gonna come after you, right? So I thought a little different than how I thought he was gonna go. And I did like that Brody Lee was just like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm ready. You know what I mean? Like it feels into that how embroiled and mad he was. So I like this. We're gonna get these guys are gonna go all out. I don't.
Oh my God, they are.
The part that made me go like, all right, guys, I'm not understanding here, was the whole melee pull apart that kept going on and on, which, I get that, right? Like, oh, he's back again. Oh, he's back again. But why is the Dark Order keep getting in the way of Brody Lee? Like, they're there to cause chaos. He orders them. If I'm going after this guy, we're all going after that guy. You don't get in my way and hold me back.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't make sense there.
Yeah.
It lost me a little bit there, but the rest of it all good.
Great point. That is a great point. Yeah, because if I lead you, you do what I say, and I say we're kicking this guy's ass.
We're gonna murder
and if
this
you're like,
man.
it's not the right time, if you say it's not the right time, I'm going to tell you, go look at my watch. My watch says it is
Looks
the time.
like you're
and
next.
I pay for the time around here. Yeah, exactly. That would have been a cool part. The Brandy, Anna Jay thing, I think is fine. I'm not into Brandy. Brandy just is not into anything that I like, kind of thing.
Not even just Brandy. This brought up something that I want to talk about in pro wrestling.
Okay, let's hear it.
Everybody can do a jump over the top rope now, right? Keith Lee can fucking do it. Drew McIntyre can fucking do it. It doesn't make it not impressive, right? Because, I mean, it is. I can't fucking do it, right? Like, I haven't tried, but I probably can't fucking do it. And great. If Keith Lee jumps over the top rope and he turns sideways and he cross bodies three guys and they fall down, that makes sense. But when Brandy Rhodes does a backflip over the top rope and 7 people catch her and then suddenly fall down, nobody fucking believes that really happened. Not a kid watching. Yeah, they're going to be like, why did they
145-pound lady. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't. It wouldn't hurt me. Yeah, you might be taking it, but if I'm looking at watching, like, I'm going to be barely bothered by a 145-pound lady coming and losing her momentum there and spinning her. Like, it just not, anybody who has any sense of physics around them understands that that's not a thing that wipes out 8 people to where she can then stand up and fucking dab over their lifeless bodies. I don't think she dabbed, but
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. And 145 was just a weight I threw out. I don't know how much she weighs, and I'm not. I never did that game well. Anyhow, definitely could be less than that. I agree with that. But I'm just not into Brandy. I just don't like Brandy necessarily. She's fine. She doesn't do anything I hate. I don't have that Sasha Banks like, oh God, she can't talk. She can't do right. But I also don't go, man, this person's interesting. I'm so into what she's doing. I just feel neutral. And And so with that part of the pull apart, I like that it added on to like, it's not just between these two people. It's a whole, dark order and a family at war kind of thing. So it was fine. The one part that made me a little confused. Did you catch that Nyla Rose just beat some chick's ass too during this and just started giggling while she was doing it?
And they were like, I mean, she's just taking advantage of the man. I mean, why not? And I love that. Like, why isn't there more people being like, oh, there's a bunch of people fighting right now. Nobody's getting in trouble for it. And I don't like that guy out there who's trying to stop it. I'm going to go beat him up and nobody's going to fucking do anything about it. I like it. Like, why doesn't Randy Orton come out and RKO people in the middle of somebody else's melee?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me because I thought more people were going to start doing that, right? I saw Nyla Rose do it, and then I thought maybe you were going to get a trickle-down effect of Luther grabs someone and Billy Gunn grabs another person and all this stuff, But it reminded me initially with that promo with all the champions in the ring, and it was in Seattle when Daniel Bryan just kept getting cheered for when it was Randy Orton and John Cena, but it started with those two. And then there was a super kick to CM Punk. And then there was a big knee from Daniel Bryan to Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. Like, I was thinking, like, are we going to do that in AEW? That would be fun. Cause then the Young Bucks get, beat up by FTR. FTR gets beat up by SCU. One time I'd like for a melee to literally close the show because it's like, we've lost control. Tony Khan is in a headlock by Kenny Omega right now.
You don't know.
No one knows what's happening.
Right? Like, I mean, they can do, here's what I would do. Right. So let's pretend it's AEW. Melee closes the show. Right. Everybody's like, I don't know what Tony Khan looked like. Somebody's Lance Archer had his foot on Tony Khan's neck as we shut off air. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And then they like, YouTube, right? There's a Being the Elite, and they're like, "Hey, what happened there?" And they're like, "Oh, we've been directed by management to not say anything until the official announcement comes." And you stall a couple days off of stuff like that, right? And you just make it a whole week. And everybody's like, "Where are they going with this, man? Tony Khan was almost dead."
Yeah, but the pull apart was good to get to the match next week with the dog collar match, Cody versus Brody Lee. Again, I don't even know who Nyla Rose beat up, but I like that. That was probably my favorite part of it because it was just like, yeah, of course a heel would take advantage of this situation. That chick isn't even looking at her. Wow, hit her in the back of the head. All right, so then next we had, hey, do it if you got it. Next up, we had a backstage interview from FTR, which was then interrupted by a super kick from the Young Bucks to Tony Schiavone. And this felt not respected. If you're going to super kick Tony Schiavone, there needs to be ramifications. Now, JR was saying something to the effect of, you can't do that.
Excalibur's like,
we just went on with the show.
But then we just,
but then we kept going. It should have been Tony Khan has an announcement in the next segment about what the Young Bucks did. This is not acceptable. It was almost felt like light comedy.
Yeah, you don't Young kick Bucks pro wrestling stepdad. People. And you know what I mean? Like, the good stepdad, right? He's not the bad stepdad that like beats you and drinks all night.
He's the one that gives you $5 because you just had a bad day.
Right. And he's like, he's a little nervous that like, he knows you're not his kid. He doesn't want to be like, look, man, I get it. But like, I also got to be an adult, but like, I'm a cool guy. Right. Like, yeah.
Well, he's the guy that says, you can call me dad if you want, but I get it if you don't.
Right. Yeah.
He's that guy.
Right.
Yeah. He's that stepdad.
Look, I just really love your mom.
Felt like,
and we're just...
yeah, I'm here for you, but if you want to talk to your dad about this situation, I totally understand it, but I am here for you.
Feel free to call me Tony.
No, anyhow.
It's fine.
Yeah. You want to call me Mr. T? Huh? Mr. T? Remember him?
The Chavone, whatever you want to, Ski-a-bone.
Whatever you want to call him. But I just felt like the Young Bucks kind of, it just felt like bad humor. Like, it's not funny anymore. Because then they were like, oh, what? What happened? What
was
happened?
it ever funny with the Young Bucks, Tom?
Well, but now it's just feeling like the broken phone thing is kind of funny. And that's a dick move where you're like, oh, man, I wish I could probably do that to someone I don't like, right?
Especially when the kicks missed and hit him in the collarbone.
Well, good, because you don't want to really hurt that guy. I'm okay with that. But then FTR doesn't even blink. They're just like, kick us.
Yeah, they're like, hey,
kick us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of like that they didn't really care, right? He's like, they're just like,
fuck
hey, what, you pussy? You didn't want to fucking kick.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to pause because we go into the match right with the tag team championship match, the 20-minute brush with greatness, whatever. You say the best friends are the best tag team in pro wrestling right now, and I think FTR is up there to challenge, man. FTR right now, I'm loving their whole attitude, their whole demeanor. I like this whole commanding of they're like, no, we represent the tag team division, so the rules are changing. Like, we're gonna do this. Like, no, this is about us. And I even like that they're like, well, of course. I mean, we won the titles from the last champions. We got to go back and beat the first one. So we're just like, I mean, it's clear that like we're the best, right? Like this is the best I've seen out of them. They used to be fast forward TV, and they've come a long way in a short period of time.
Yeah, I agree with you there. FTR, this is the best that I've seen them since I first saw them, right? I just like best friends because I think I would hang out with best friends. I feel like I want to jump in the van with Sue and Trent and Chuck and hang out and just go like, we're gonna get Frosties from Dairy Queen. Why not? I might
go hang out with FTR.
Yeah, you go hang out with FTR. I'll go hang out with best friends. But yeah, no, FTR is doing amazing work here. So we saw that 20 minutes brush with greatness match between FTR and SCU. Before the match, though, if you caught this, Sean Spears was standing at the entrance ramp and said, "Hey, good luck to Scorpio Sky," furthering that feud or program, I guess you want to call it.
But is he also alluding to
Sean Spears,
this possible, Four Horsemen thing they've been, talking about? Although that's kind of died down, the murmur of that rumor.
Well, it kind of goes in waves, right? It's like, oh, it's going to be there next week. Oh, it's not going to happen. Maybe it's coming back. It does a lot of that.
Just because we have a 4-man group doesn't mean it's like the new Four Horsemen, right? Can we start saying that? Like the Hurt Business could technically be the new Four Horsemen, Like, what are you going to...
Of course. Yeah, definitely. I just like Sean Spears, his placement in the company. He always feels like this dark shadow. Almost, if you remember from the Batman movies, Scarecrow, where it was like, this guy's not the top bad guy, but he's going to be a thorn in the superhero Batman's ass the entire set of movies.
Well, yeah, I like it. Yeah, if like Sean Spears was always that guy, right? He's like hanging by as something's going on, and he's like, you're gonna take that from him, or just what I mean? Like, I love it. People are like, kind of, and what's then he your has a match, deal? Right? Like, why are you an asshole? Right.
Yeah, and he feuds with guys lower end on the card, and he ends up beating them all the time, right? He gets a win on AEW Dark every third episode or something like that, right? But then he kind of goes to that upper mid card, flirts with some mind fucking games with some people, and then just goes back down to Dark, and then comes back. I like that, just that weird aura of him. So anyhow, that was what we saw to start this match. SCU versus FTR. Solid match. I mean, really, really good from all four guys here. I'm still waiting for Scorpio Sky to break out from SCU. I still like what SCU is, and they're good, right? The first tag team champions. It's all fine and good. We have 700 tag teams, so I'm ready for Scorpio Sky to challenge for a singles title without the SCU garb and, presentation. But this for itself was really good. Hangman Adam Page was on commentary. And then after this match, after FTR won, we got a tournament announcement for a tournament that would name the number one contender for the AEW championship. Jungle Boy was named on that. Pentagon Jr., I believe, was the second one. But then Kenny Omega was named as the third competitor, and that damn near made Hangman Adam Page choke on his whiskey, and he had to go. He got pretty pissed. It sounded like, when you break up with a girl and then you hear that she's going on a date before you've gone on your first date since the breakup. It felt like that's what Hangman Adam Page heard when he heard that Kenny Omega was in this tournament.
Yeah, I do like that. Again, I keep liking it to the Ross and Rachel thing. Like, that's exactly what it felt like. It was like, he's doing what? Singles.
So he really doesn't want to tag team with me. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, good. Hey, listen, I gotta go take a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man, I got that thing. Yeah. I gotta go do that thing.
I told my mom I'd pick her up some chapsticks. I gotta go.
Yeah. Right. That was the interesting part post match. Yeah, this was a whole great segment. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Next up, after the commercial break and after that announcement, we saw Isaiah Cassidy taking on Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's awesome. However, I will say this. He's starting to move like Big Show in that ring.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of miles on those
riding
legs.
it hard, and I mean, yeah.
Something he either needs to get into the gym and just be locked in there for a few months, or he needs to stop wrestling.
Go back to that accountability house. He never went to the house.
Yeah.
I think he just did the DDP yoga.
Yeah, I think he just did the thing. Yeah. But also I will say this too. The style of match doesn't really compliment him either, right? Isaiah Cassidy is a lot of the put your foot here, count to 2, look to the left, and we do a springboard. Hey, everyone. It's like 1980s rap, you know? Where it's
drop
like,
down, like arm drag, off the ropes. Like they just, it's very...
Yeah. It's like a Cool in the Gang 1980s hip hop song with the beats. It's put your hand here and go under the rope. Go under the rope and move to the left.
You put your left foot to the left and you put your left foot out.
Yeah, it's just
hokey pokey wrestle.
So, right. Yeah, that's another good way of putting it. It just that doesn't compliment Chris Jericho, who's literally been doing this longer than Isaiah Cassidy's been alive. That was the other thing I really cracked up about is next week they're going to do the 30 years of Chris Jericho, and they did a promo for it. And then I realized that's 30 years of pro wrestling that Chris Jericho's done, and Isaiah Cassidy is not 25.
23 or something like that, right? Like 24
yeah. So he's literally been doing this profession longer than his competitor has been alive. And so I thought that was pretty funny. But the one thing that I liked is Luther and Jericho got into it, and they had a little skirmish. We're going to get a tag match next week. I guess they
explained that like that's his old
they're
from
big
the beginning.
Yeah, from the start of their career. So maybe we're going to see two guys work at the same pace. You know what I mean? So that'll be good.
Like guys who've been wrestling for 30 years.
Right, exactly. So Luther interjected himself in here.
Hey, what are we going to do with this 30 years of Jericho, right? Because they don't have footage but of the 30th year. So, this is a setup for him to get shit on by somebody, right?
Well, I think he's going to get this tag match against, I think the team name of Luther and his tag partners, Chaos Theory.
MJF somehow, which we'll get into. But
yeah. So what I'm guessing, though, is we're going to get a victory from Jake Hager and Jericho on the 30 year of Jericho celebration. And then, MJF. And let's get into that. So post-match, Jericho gets the win with the Judas effect, which has been looking really strong. No one has, I don't think at least, has kicked out of the Judas effect.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Post-match, they're all celebrating in the locker room. MJF goes into the locker room, gives them all jackets except for Sammy Guevara. Just happens to forget that one.
That was so good. God, that was...
What did you think of that segment?
I love that whole segment, right? From the way they walk in and they're like, what? Hey. And then like, he doesn't even they don't open the present. He opens it. Right. And then he's like, and Sammy, shit. Right. And then he tries to blame Wardlow. Who's like, you know what I mean? I loved all of that. And I loved when they got into it and he's like, do you want to join do
you want me to join?
Right. Do you want me to join? Do you want to join? I love all of this. I love where it's going. And then at the very end, when he's like, what a loser. He's like, oh, no, hold on. Maybe he's not.
Because Sammy Guevara, who gets pissed that his jacket is missing, goes, what a loser, which they've done consecutive weeks. Yep. And Jericho stops him mid-sentence and goes, wait a minute.
Maybe he's not.
Is he? Maybe he's not.
Yeah. Here's an interesting angle. What if, you talked about Chris Jericho could be a great face, but the Inner Circle not. What if we do get this MJF kind of joins the Inner Circle and he sort of takes it from Jericho, right? They turn on Jericho. MJF's now leading the Inner Circle. They still get to go being heel guys doing all the goofy stuff they do.
Yeah.
Maybe you can even get rid of Hager, swap him out with Wardlow. You done with that?
Yeah. Yeah, you have the Messiah of the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, exiled from the group. One person goes with him, and that's Jake Hager. Wardlow and MJF take over the Inner Circle, and then it's like Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, buddies for years, still at this, trying to get one on, a main event somewhere soon. I don't know, get the titles or do something. That could be something that they do. And remember, I think if you put all these pieces together, it all started after MJF lost the championship match to Jon Moxley. And then the next week he said, looks like you have to join a faction to get noticed around here. So maybe he is trying to weasel Jericho out and take over the Inner Circle.
God, that could be fun.
Food
if we
for
were writing
thought.
wrestling for wrestling fans, which AEW kind of does,
AEW
right?
so far is. Yeah, AEW is so far is. After that brilliant segment from the backstage with MJF and the Inner Circle, we saw Orange Cassidy take on 10. This was kind of a squash match. I was okay with it. I fear that we're getting a little bit overexposure of Orange Cassidy. Maybe take him off a couple weeks of TV.
Yeah, this felt like the Stone Cold roll him out, get the shit in. Hogan must pose. Let's bounce, right?
Because
except he got to call the guys weenies.
Yeah, he got to sue the weenies, and that's getting over, and that's fine, and I like that. That's cool. And the Dark Order guys are named after numbers, so it's not as if we need to build these guys up, right? So it was fine. I just fear that.
You mean to tell me a guy named a number isn't going to become a future world champion? Like,
no. I mean, possibly, right? It could get the Batista effect, and then they give him a name, but no, not yet, not right now.
The AEW World Champion. 8. All right.
Maybe.
What the fuck are we talking about?
69. And everyone's like, nice.
Number 12.
You're champion 69.
Yeah, champion 69. God, that'd be a lot of dudes in the Dark Order.
Well, sure, right? Champion 420. Oh, God. If there's a Wednesday on 420, a Dark Order member number 420 needs to get the victory. That's perfect. That's made for it, right? God, that'd be perfect. Yeah. I just get a little worried that, those moments that I pop for when Orange Cassidy comes from the trunk of a car to help the best friends in a street fight, or is hanging out in a bathroom when the Inner Circle and the Elite are wrestling, and he's just hanging out in the bathroom and then just walks out. Those little fun moments are going to get ruined because it's like, well, I just saw him wrestle 10 minutes before that, or he's wrestling in the next segment, so it makes it more special if you sprinkle him in, and then he can do the laziness and it hits a little bit more, at least for me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, now in our blink and you'll miss it segment for the women, we had Britt Baker taking on Red Velvet. Britt Baker looks awesome, and again, it's reestablishing like this is the queen bitch in this division. However, again, it's always the spot right before the main event, which if you look at traditional wrestling is the piss break, right? If that's what we're usually saying that is. Stop putting the women there, have them kick off the show or do something. But yeah, this was.
Well, I agree. Red Velvet belongs in that position, but I mean, I get what you're saying there. Yeah. Again, if we're saying, hey, this person's back, we can't do a Triple H returns for every person that comes back. So get in there and beat somebody up.
Well, and she technically returned against Big Swole in that Dennis match that they did, but this was her first in-ring match. By the way, if memory serves me correct, and again, we don't fact check here, didn't Big Swole win that match?
Yeah. So
where does she go? Why is Big Swole not on the TV, but Britt Baker is?
It's probably not COVID.
I hope not. That would suck. Yeah. But it just seemed weird, right? But again, Britt Baker's back. She's awesome. I love her. I wasn't mad at this segment. I was just mad at the placement of it, to be honest with you. So let's roll into the main event. We had Jon Moxley taking on an opponent of Eddie Kingston's choosing, which happened to be The Butcher. And I'll tell you this, The Butcher I know is never going to be the man in AEW. He's not going to be the heavyweight champion. He might be a TNT champion way down the road or anything like that. But he's scary as fuck looking,
He's
right?
Big dude. He's creepy looking.
That bib that he wears, or the apron, that he wears. When he was standing behind Jon Moxley, I was like, this is a scary movie. This is a horror movie.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to. Right. I agree. The Butcher should be more highlighted as somebody to watch out for, or somebody's muscle, or that whole Dexter Lumis idea might work well for the Butcher. If we got away with this, like the Blade thing, I mean, don't get me wrong, that guy's good and he looks like $1 million too, but like if it was just the Butcher and he was just staying alone and this guy might be murdering people in his shed, yeah, I agree.
Or I mean, how they were originally presented, it seemed like the Blade was a gimp and was into some weird shit that no one really wants to look at, and then the Butcher was the one who facilitated what the Blade liked. That's what it felt like to me. When I first saw Butcher and the Blade, it was like, oh, so the Blade's in some weird shit. But the way that he gets to watch and do all this weird shit is the Butcher makes sure it happens. Mm-hmm. And if we went with that angle, that would be cool.
Well, that's a built-in eventual storyline between the two of them. Yeah.
But the Butcher is just a scary motherfucker. And this was a good match. Again, it was another way where Jon Moxley's doing this really cool thing where he's winning and he's undefeated this year. And it's all on paper like, man, he's the most over guy in the company, which probably is. However, if you watch these matches, he's having to creatively beat these people. It's not just how Stone Cold would hit you with a stunner, 1, 2, 3. John Cena hits you with an attitude adjustment, 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley's like, well, for this guy, I've got a rear naked choke. For another guy, I've got to do a bulldog choke. For my next competitor, I've got to do the paradigm shift. Like, it's not just, hey, I'm the toughest guy here, I get to do my shit and I get out. It's, I'm a little bit overmatched, but my mind and my toughness is going to get me the victory. And I do like that aspect of Jon Moxley so far.
I do like that as well. And it's as much as we have flirted with calling Jon Moxley, not just we, I think wrestling in general, flirted with calling Jon Moxley a Stone Cold clone. That part is different, right? This is not Jon Moxley can just clearly beat the shit out of everybody unless they're trying to be nefarious. Jon Moxley's got a challenge ahead of him, and he's rising to that challenge by hook or by crook. And, not outright cheating by crook, but it's uniqueness, right?
Well, he did have to cheat to beat MJF. Remember, he wasn't supposed to use a paradigm shift, and he did. He did. Right. And he also leans into it, too. If you remember when he was talking about his program with Lance Archer starting, he said, I had to beat Darby Allin. I had to beat Brody Lee. And right when I thought I was good, look at this motherfucker. Like, duh,
right.
the Danny Glover Lethal Weapon, I'm too old for this shit kind of gimmick. And that's relatable. It's like, man, how is he going to get through this one? And so I'm liking the Jon Moxley character because it feels as if we are getting away from the Stone Cold Steve Austin, glass shatters, stunners for everyone. Let's throw some beer and have fun. I'm a little overmatched. How am I going to MacGyver my way? Yeah. And I also liked before this match, Eddie Kingston still putting himself over that he didn't actually lose to Jon Moxley. It was this ref who I thought was my friend calling the match when he shouldn't have.
One of the best times a referees had to like chime in and say stuff, and like that I was like, oh, all right, God damn it, I feel this ref. Usually they suck. Usually they can't. They manage to verbally cross their I's and dot their T's. You know what I mean? Usually do refs. But this guy was good. I liked it.
Yeah, the ref was awesome. Like you said, to back up or to further on that point a little bit, it always seems like when a ref hears his voice in the microphone, he gets intimidated. He's like, and this guy just cut a promo.
Right.
Yeah. He just said, no, we've been friends for years, but when we're here, we're professionals, and my job is to keep you safe. And
Stop
you
you
weren't
from being
responsive.
a dumbass.
Yeah. And then Eddie Kingston's like, you motherfucker, but then John Moxley comes out and I'm going to, does all this stuff. And then, like we said, Butcher comes out, looks like $1 million, at least on paper, does take the loss, but John Moxley, looks like he may be continuing this feud with Eddie Kingston. I think Lance Archer may be not available.
Yeah.
They still advertise that match October 17th, I think it was. But we may be going Eddie Kingston out of necessity. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm feeling like it's easy that Eddie Kingston can always be a thorn in the side, right? Like, so even if there's somebody else who's really the opponent, if for whatever reason they're gone, Eddie Kingston can be like, yo, dog, you still never beat me, right? They can carry this on for a year, right? Like, I never quit to you. You still owe me, right?
Yeah, and everything, if you're doing a debate, does check out with what Eddie Kingston's saying. I didn't go over the top rope in that battle royal, so I'm the number one contender. Well, you got eliminated. No, fuck you, right? Then he gets his match. I didn't tap out. This ref quit. The ref stopped the match, not me. Well, but you were unconscious. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like, what are you gonna do? I didn't fucking go. I would have woke up.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he can keep doing this for a while. I do feel bad though for Lance Archer because out of sight, out of mind. Eddie Kingston, I think, is doing this really well, and when Lance Archer comes back, it'll be fine. But
I think because like we liked Lance Archer and we thought this was gonna be cool, and we'll see where it goes. But Eddie Kingston's gonna do this better than Lance Archer, right? I mean,
or Jake Roberts,
even. Yeah, as good as Jake Roberts has been historically, right now Eddie Kingston smoke shows him. So yeah.
But that was AEW Dynamite for this week. Again, next week will be the 30 years of Chris Jericho. He will be in a tag match with Jake Hager taking on Chaos Theory, I think is their name, or Chaos Project, something like that. Then we also got the dog collar match between Brody Lee and Cody for the TNT Championship. So fun things on the horizons for AEW Dynamite. But let's now transition to the next thing that's on the horizon. This Saturday will be NXT Takeover 31. Tim, are you excited for NXT Takeover 31?
I am excited, and I really like this Kyle O'Reilly thing. I don't think he's going to...
Friend of the show.
Maybe he wins because they did highlight, and maybe that's on purpose, the question of what if you win? What about Adam Cole, baby? So maybe he does. Maybe that is the angle. Maybe they were like, we put it on Finn Balor because we wanted him to be able to put over somebody new, and maybe we already figured out who that somebody new is.
Maybe, and we can get into our picks here in just a moment. I do want to point out, though, if you are watching this live and you want to talk about it, I will be doing another instant reaction on the YouTube channel. You can write in your comments. I will respond. Before that, though, I will give you some instant reaction on the top moments of the night. So feel free to head over to our YouTube channel. Tim, give it to us again. It's
youtube.com/Spanish Announce Tube. This is the Spanish Announce Tube.
So I will be giving you that on Saturday,
right?
The instant reaction, and then Tim will give you the less than instant reaction, and then again, we will give you a full breakdown on our proper episode of Spanish Announce Table. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, let's get into the card. So I have it pulled up from ewrestlingnews.com.
Yeah.
And so I may not be getting a full list here because there's not a lot. But let's just go over what they have so far.
I tried to go to the WWE website, but I didn't see the exact card breakdown either. So we're going to go with that.
Yeah, so let's just go here with what we have listed. And again, subject to change as we get closer to Saturday. But the first match that they have listed here is the NXT Women's Championship match. Io Shirai, champion, taking on Candice LeRae. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Candice LeRae. I think this match is going to come before Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. So I think they want to leave that whole thing open, right? Are we going to have the first couple?
In
maybe
NXT.
spoiling my pick on that one, but I think Candice LeRae wins this.
Yeah, I do too. I think Candice LeRae wins this just because I don't think Io Shirai is necessarily moving the needle. I don't think when she
definitely not
goes on NXT television that people are tuning away from AEW to say, what is Io Shirai doing? What's the promo she's cutting? What's the match she's in? I think she's very, very good. I think she's better than Asuka as far as international women's competitor. She's head and shoulders above everyone, in my opinion. But I don't think she's necessarily, like I said, drawing more viewers in with her character and in-ring ability.
I agree.
I think Candice LeRae being in the couple with Johnny Gargano can do that. So let's get into that next match. The NXT North American Championship ladder match. Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano. Who do you got?
This is where I think Damian Priest still wins this. I think, okay. So I think they're going to go with this whole Gargano doesn't quite get it because they still want to keep Damian Priest going with whatever he's doing here, and try it a little bit more before peeking behind the curtain. And I think Gargano, they can do this. Like, this is the prophecy. It's coming true. Oh, it doesn't quite come true. She does. He doesn't. The fun they can have in these little house segments, which are creepy and great. I think they can work with that. It almost might be better, right? Because I mean, if he wins it, and they go on this power trip, they've both got to have it for a while. And I don't know if that's the angle they really want to go right now. I think they're trying to build new stars, make new folks. And I think this would help with that, right? If Priest can get a win over Johnny Gargano, right? Of all people.
In a ladder match.
And then this kind of sets up, his maybe jealousy, who knows, right? They could go 1,000 different angles. And those two, of course, Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano, will undoubtedly hit a home run with whatever they've given. So,
yeah, I think Damian Priest wins this as well. Another friend of the show before he was Damian Priest. I think because they don't
the best here.
We do. I think they don't want to do the power couple thing because Triple H did the power couple thing, and maybe he did the best ideas for himself, and maybe he doesn't know a secondary best idea. So let's not do it,
Yeah. Like,
so for that reason,
idea, but I don't know where to go after you.
Right. So what I did with Stephanie was this. After that, I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
And I do like your idea of, okay, so now Candice is the breadwinner in this couple. I held up
my end of the deal.
Yeah. So what's going on? And maybe we see a different version, not a split between the two, but maybe Johnny Gargano almost becomes a cheerleader for Candice, coming out, this is the best chick in the world. Oh, my wife, look at her. I think they're married, right? They're married.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is my wife, the greatest wife of all time, and almost becomes this like, what the fuck is Johnny Gargano now is Harvey Whippleman. What is he doing?
Even where she's kind of like, geez, would you shut up? Like,
yeah. Would you win a title so we can be a power couple here and you hold up your end?
Almost Mike Bennett, right?
Yeah.
Right, where you're kind of like, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Damian Priest, like you said, they're trying to build that next wave of stars. Him getting a victory would establish a little bit more of that. I still think they like to do the party backstage segments. Maybe something here is Harley's and I don't know, AC/DC's backstage, whoever Triple H has a hard on for. Who is Lenny's band? Motorhead. The rest of Motorhead's backstage hanging out with Damian Priest. Oh, what is that? Why would he like Motorhead?
Yeah, whatever the new, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
rock
hanging out with Slipknot. Yeah, there you go. It's Damian Priest and Slipknot hanging out, drinking with women in a hot tub.
That's a good reference, but anyway. Who knows?
I bet we're going to see Slipknot. Yeah, I bet we're going to see Slipknot somehow.
Put your money on Slipknot, says Tom. Don't fact check. Just do it.
There's
a prop bet on Slipknot. Bet the house.
Bet the house. Heard it here first. Okay,
Bet the
after
house
that,
on Slipknot. That's the name of this episode.
I like that. That's really good. All right, after that, we have a singles match listed here. It's Kushida versus Velveteen Dream. Kushida's looking really, really strong, getting rid of the, hey, I'm happy to be here, and more of a, I'm going to take your arm because I don't like your arm.
It's not the smiling, Asian.
Hey, everyone here, let's take a picture. It's the,
I'm happy in WWE. It's like, look, guys, I know you keep again. We talked about this last week. WWE tries to fit that puzzle piece all the time. It's like, we gotta have some Asians, we gotta have Mexican, we gotta have
yeah.
But you're right. This one seems like it might have some legs beyond it.
Yeah. Now, Velveteen Dream, I think he's on a punishment tour. I think he's on the, hey, you know how many times you fucked up? And now it's time to take your lumps here. So I got Kushida because I think they're going to just keep Velveteen Dream in neutral for a little bit longer until maybe they see some change backstage. That's peeking behind the curtain. So for that reason, I got Kushida.
Which can be a good thing because if that change comes, you're almost more likely to then get more force behind you, right? Like, because then they go, all right, you're proving it. Now it's time to pull the trigger. Whereas before they might be like, yeah, that guy, yeah. So sometimes trouble can be good for you if you work it right and come out on the back end of it in a good position. But I think we've noticed with Velveteen Dream and Patrick Clark from the NXT days, he does kind of get in his own way. And you know what I mean? I think that's always been the thing they said. Like, he gets in his own way and then he starts believing his own hype and kind of starts going through the motions. And I think we did see some of that with the Velveteen Dream recently. So, and we were even saying it, we were kind of like, yeah, feels like he's going through the motions.
I agree. Let's get into the next match here. NXT Cruiserweight Championship match. Santos Escobar versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. Now, you were a big fan of their promo package on this week's NXT television show. So what do you think about this match?
That promo package instantly got me more interested in the match. Now I want to know who wins. Before, you could have told me like Santos Escobar, Swerve Scott, and I'd have been like, yeah, cool, I'll watch that. But I'm not like, if I had to miss the ending, I wouldn't be like, make sure you rewind that. I want to see it, But now I kind of want to know what's going on. I thought it did really well. I liked the way Escobar was, dug into, like, I mean, you call this bag of tricks or whatever, you know what I mean? He's like, I call this hundreds of years of tradition, right? And I'm going to bury you with it, or whatever his line was, right? I thought that was supreme. Basically, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring them down, and oh yeah, I'm going to fucking cheat to win. And that's how we're going to do this, because this is what we do around here. You're going to man up and try, or are you just going to whine about fairness in a fight? I like that. And I like Swerve even the whole time. He's like, yeah, man, because if we did it fair, you're not winning, right? Like the whole time. Like, I liked all of it. It really got me more into the Swerve Scott than anything else has. And we've already kind of praised Santos Escobar and his group. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Santos Escobar and his group. I think, again, if I had the pen or the pencil or whatever the fuck we're calling it, this is where, yeah, exactly. Let me, whoop. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what side I'm grabbing it.
It says I voted. All right.
Yep. But this is where I'm building Santos Escobar as the luchador god. And then you know who has to take down a god? The real god of 205. And that's Rey Mysterio. That's where I'm leading
especially
this
when
to.
He keeps saying, like, I built it in my image of the proud luchador heritage. And then it could come down to that and be like, oh,
you think you're the luchador here?
Epitomize what luchador is?
Yeah,
El
it's
Senor,
Rey Mysterio.
right?
Yeah.
And then he can even bring his kid with him, too. Well, he may be outside of the 205 Live, right? He's 7 feet tall. So.
Yeah. But who cares,
Yeah,
right?
But right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that's
half of them probably aren't 205, really.
right. Yeah. I don't think Murphy ever was hitting 205. I think he's 220 to 230 the entire time.
When he wakes up in the morning and takes a shit, he might reach 205.
Yeah, he's 212 then.
Right.
But yeah, I think you build Santos Escobar to this untouchable luchador status to where he takes out everyone. He keeps beating the drum of I'm the luchador, I'm the luchador, I'm the luchador. And the way this story ends, the way this story ends is Rey Mysterio. I don't think we're going to get that.
Of course, we're not going to get that.
But with this, I think we're going to continue that dominance from him and his group. And so I got Santos Escobar. All right, now let's get to the main event, the NXT Championship match. Finn Balor, champion, taking on challenger Kyle O'Reilly.
They did a great job with the promo packages and the sit-down discussion with Shawn Michaels of making me go, I don't know. The 9 times out of 10 WWE fan tells me Finn Balor wins this, left and right. But could that sneak in? Like I said earlier, have they been like, you know what I mean? We didn't think it would happen this quick, but like Kyle O'Reilly, Shawn Michaels he has said the hidden gem is, and Shawn Michaels actually legitimately is pulling strings down there. So maybe this might be a thing there. I don't be surprised if Kyle O'Reilly wins this kind of out of nowhere. And this is look how badass Kyle O'Reilly is. And now this is where we get this undisputed shakedown, undisputed era thing. And maybe Adam Cole goes up to a main roster or something. Who knows? I'm going to say Finn Balor wins this just to, because that's how WWE generally goes, right? This guy doesn't win his title back and lose it on the first challenger. So I'm going to say Finn Balor, but don't be shocked.
I would not be shocked. I think, though, Finn Balor retains, and I think this is where we're just going to get right to it. I think they've been teasing an Undisputed Era breakup and rumblings, and they keep now mentioning it on television, that I don't think they're going to do a slow burn to then break it up. I think that was the slow burn of Shawn Michaels mentioning it to Kyle O'Reilly. I think Kyle O'Reilly is going to hit his finisher on Finn right before we get the pin. Adam Cole's going to jump in the ring, says, "You're not getting this fucking title." Whop, super kicks him. I'm the man in Undisputed Era. Finn Balor gets the cover, 1, 2, 3, and then we're just going to go. Then we're going to create a story of what do the other two do, right? What does Roderick Strong and what does Fish do now that these two guys are feuding? And that's where we're going to go.
Tag team on Raw and take on the Street Profits.
I mean, someone needs to, but with this, I think we're just going to get the genesis of this new split is going to be Adam Cole says, "Hey, motherfuckers, remember we started Undisputed Era because I'm the fucking man, not this
Here's
guy."
what it is. So he barely loses, does Kyle O'Reilly without help, right? When he might have been able to use it or need it from the Undisputed Era. But he almost does it, right? And so Fish and Strong are all like, "Man, you're amazing. You almost did it. Get back there. You can have another shot," right? Like, just put in a little work. "Dude, you're amazing. You did great. I can't believe you took this guy to the ties, Finn Balor, blah, blah." And you see Cole being like, over in the corner, like, "But he fucking lost. Like, he didn't win the damn, like, hey, guy.
I did.
Hey, right? Baby, right? Like, it's starting to get to him, right? That they're kind of like, "You're solid, dude." You know what I mean? Like, that they're even approaching somebody and not looking to him for guidance, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to slow burn it, I like that, because I do like how Kyle O'Reilly in that sit-down interview with Finn Balor said, "You see this hand, you see this hand, they wash each other. That's the Undisputed Era." Well, if Kyle O'Reilly gets put in a spot where he could use the Undisputed Era and he looks up to the ramp and they're not there, now what the fuck? I thought we were two hands that wash each other and fucking help each other out, right?
What if they're not there and it's because Adam Cole told the other two, "Well, hold on, let's let him do it on his own." And then it's like, "Why did you tell him to do it on his own? I said we want, like, we came down and helped you plenty of times."
That's where we could get the thing.
Fuck yeah, punch you in the nuts.
Yeah. The other thing I like about this match that they built up, and obviously if you do enough digging, you could have saw the connection here, but I liked how they kept saying about how Kyle O'Reilly really wanted to face Finn Balor his entire career. And so it was, he finally got into pro wrestling in America. Finn goes to Japan. He finally gets to Japan. Finn goes to NXT. He finally gets to NXT. Finn goes to Raw, and then and so I like that a lot. It was really cool how it showed, like, no, Kyle O'Reilly's always wanted to fight this guy, And so that was pretty cool. But I think this story, much how the Randy Orton Drew McIntyre was about Randy Orton, and it just happened to be that Drew McIntyre was the champion, I think this is Kyle O'Reilly's story. It just happens to be that Finn Balor's the champion.
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
All right, man. Well, that's all they have listed. Again, they probably will add some Breezango match or Austin Theory or something here.
The kickoff will have a Breezango match.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
So we'll see what happens there, but that's all we got for NXT TakeOver 31. I'm pretty excited.
I am too, man. I'm really excited for it. Again, we never go home thinking like this show was bad, right? Exactly. At worst, we've been like, yeah, it was good.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, like we mentioned, Saturday after the event ends, if you watch it live, head over to our YouTube channel. I'll give you some instant reaction. Join in the comments section. Tell me what you thought. I'll read it on air. Give you my comments back to your comments. And then a day or two later, Tim will give you the less than instant reaction. And as mentioned on the proper Spanish Announce Table, we'll give a full recap of NXT TakeOver 31.
Yeah. Yeah, check out that YouTube. Also, if you're feeling like you really liked us and you want us to know that you really liked us, don't forget we do accept donations. PayPal.com. Use tableshow@gmail.com as the email that you want to send it to, or you can go to our website, SpanishAnnounceTable.net, and there's a donate link there that'll take you right to it, so you don't have to remember tableshow@gmail.com. We'll take $1. We'll take $5. We'll take $5,000. Whatever you got. You know what I mean? Whatever you got.
Any donation is welcomed.
Any donation is welcome.
The Spanish Announce Table.